If you are thinking about doing live selling on Whatnot, or maybe you just started, this video is definitely a good one to watch. I'm going to be sharing a lot of tips because I have made a lot of mistakes on the selling platform, and hopefully you're going to learn from the mistakes that I made. All right, mistake number one, we were really afraid to start selling, especially live selling. A couple years ago, actually, Whatnot reached out to us on Instagram through our DMs, must have seen our content on Instagram, and wanted us to start selling on the platform under the category of storage units, because we were doing like pallets and pallet unboxing and things like that. And we kind of brushed it off. I don't even think that I responded to them because I had no idea what Whatnot even was. I mean, that was back when they were first starting out. We found Whatnot at SneakerCon in Denver when they were going live, and that just was something that we didn't want to add to our plates because we were already doing so much. But looking back, I really wish that we would have started sooner. And then when we were ready to start, we were kind of timid and afraid to start because we didn't know what to expect. It's completely different than selling on eBay. You go out, you find an item, you bring it home, clean it up, you photograph it, list it, and then ship it when it sells. Like that, to us, there's so many tutorials out there for it. I mean, luckily now, if you are watching and you are thinking about starting on Whatnot, or maybe you already started, there are a lot more videos than when we were thinking about starting. And I think now when you watch these videos, it makes you a little bit more comfortable. So that's my advice to you if you're watching and you haven't started, just start. The next mistake we made was thinking that when we were running the auctions in our show that we had to start everything at $1. We just thought that was just what was going to bring in all the buyers, especially because we were starting out. We were having to start from scratch, build a following on Whatnot, and we just thought if we started at $1, people would come back to the show after show after show. Come to find out, never start something at $1 unless you are okay with it going for $1, because we have learned that you don't have to start auctions at $1. There's shows where we will start every single auction at $5, and you know what? We still have buyers coming in and we still have buyers buying items. The next mistake was not learning shipping. Shipping for us on platforms like Amazon and eBay are really simple because we have been doing it for so long. Whatnot is completely different with shipping. When you are going to set up a show, you can choose to do shipping profiles, which we don't, or you can just choose to put in the weight of the item that you're going to run. Let's say I'm going to run this Disney Pixar car, and I'm going to choose that it's going to be between 4 and 7 ounces. That is what I'm going to choose before I run that auction. So when the buyer goes to swipe, if you start running the auction, they're going to see a shipping cost. That shipping cost is going to be what I put in for that item. So it's going to charge the buyer whatever Whatnot charges them for 4 to 7 ounces. It could be like $3.21. And then every other time that they buy an item after another item after another item, as long as it's under 5 pounds, they're only going to pay $9.21. Then if they buy enough to where all the items that they have purchased so far and won at the auction goes over and exceeds 5 pounds, then you have to choose between either ground advantage, priority, or priority flat rate. So that was one thing that we had no idea. And I remember a polo show, because we do a lot of golf polos and golf clubs, if you see behind me. We do a lot of those shows, and some of the buyers in the chat were asking, do we get free shipping? And I was so confused. I'm like, well, you know, once you get to the $9.21, then yeah, you don't have to pay for shipping. But I didn't understand that once you got to 5 pounds, if you didn't have it set up for flat rate shipping, through the post office, then it would charge them again. Now that can't work for every single thing that you're selling. Like let's say we're doing a golf club show and we put in up to 5 pounds, and then after would be the post office, USPS, priority flat rate. We cannot fit golf clubs in a large flat rate box, obviously. So we would want to choose something else. We would want to choose probably just the regular priority. But once they get past that 5 pounds, it will reset the shipping and they'll get charged $9.21 every 5 pounds. So we didn't quite understand how that worked. Now we got it. were really good, but I think in the beginning I should have maybe reached out to a lot more Whatnot sellers, maybe on Instagram, or asked questions in YouTube videos. And then I probably would have been a lot more comfortable with the shipping, because we did make that mistake. And now when we run our polo shows, we know to choose flat rate through the post office. We know with the polo shows that we're doing, we're not doing hundreds and hundreds of polos. We're doing maybe like 40 to 60. We know that the likelihood of having a buyer buy so many that we can't fit it in a large flat rate box, that is very unlikely. So that's just kind of how we do our shows, and shipping is now easy peasy. Another mistake we made was not scheduling shows for longer and not putting in more shows. So when you're running a show, you already have that audience that's interested in those items. So like in the next polo show we're gonna do for golf, I also have a golf short show already set up. It's already on our freeway flippers. That way, when we're doing the show, people are coming in for polos, we can tell them about the next show that we're gonna do and tell them to go bookmark it. And I think that really, really helps with making sure that you're getting your show out there, and then people can bookmark it and they'll get notified when the show goes live. And then also taking the time to share it on social media. On Instagram, we have 10,000 followers. Some of them sell on Whatnot, some of them don't. But if we have the time, let's say we schedule the show for another like week and do one like twice a month, then we can definitely share the show and build it up, and that will help us get more bookmarks as well. So I definitely think that was one of the things we didn't do in the beginning. We were just kind of putting one show in as is, and then if people went to our profile, there wouldn't be any more shows available for them to bookmark. I didn't realize when we did our first show that you could actually include show notes. And show notes are just kind of like a disclaimer. Like think about when you're listing something, let's say on eBay or Poshmark or Mercari, you have a description area where you can list stuff, list any flaws, list how you ship, when you're gonna ship. That was one thing I didn't take advantage of, and I definitely do now. So in the show notes, if we're doing a golf polo show, I like to put, they may be used, and we will try to point out any flaws. We will ship out next day, and just kind of things like that that tailor to the show that you're going to be doing. All sales are final. That way people know if they win the bid, they pay, and that's it. They won the item. So those are just things that you should do in your show. That way it's just kind of letting people, if they do click on the show notes, they can kind of read up on what that show is going to be about. Whatnot is very seller friendly. If you sell on eBay, they can sometimes be buyer friendly versus seller friendly. And we didn't understand how returns and cancellations work. I remember our first show, there was something that we missed when we were running an item, and Casey's like, oh, we'll just go ahead and we'll cancel the item. Well, we have no idea how to do it on our end. We can't do it. So the buyer has to cancel it. So now that we know that, if there is an issue, like let's say that we showed a polo shirt, we didn't realize there was a stain or a rip, and the person already swiped and they already won the auction, we can tell them, hey, this is the defect. If you don't want the shirt still, then go ahead and cancel and we'll accept that cancellation. And then with returns, same thing. The buyer has to initiate the returns. So returns work just a little bit different on Whatnot versus them on eBay. For us, every show we do, especially golf clubs, we always enable local pickup. Because that way, if somebody is local and they're close to us and we're in near Phoenix, Arizona, then they can come and meet us and pick up their items, and they don't have to pay for shipping. The first show we did, I did not have local pickup. Therefore, that wasn't even an option for the buyer. So make sure if you're comfortable doing local pickup that you have that enabled, because you might make more sales by having that. We did one show at night. That was our first night show. And let me tell you, the lighting was horrible. Right now it is daytime. We have this huge sliding glass door. I have all this natural light coming in. I've got a ring light in front of me. I've got lighting to the side. But when we ran that show, we had to close the curtains and it was pretty dark in here. And that was very challenging because the shirts that we were showing, when I was looking at the show on my computer and Casey was holding them up on his phone, I was noticing that some of the color was not coming out like it should have. So that was our mistake by not having better lighting. I think definitely like do a trial show. They do have an option. This is one thing I would definitely do if I were to be starting on Whatnot. I would schedule a private show. So there's a private and a public show that you can do. And if you schedule a private show, nobody on Whatnot can search it. Nobody can find it. The only people that can attend the show is somebody with your link. And we actually did that before we did our first show. We gave a couple friends the link, had them come in, kind of look to see how it worked. We didn't run anything, but just to kind of, well, we did run, but nobody was bidding because it was just a practice show. So we were able to kind of do some trial and error and feel a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera. So definitely try that. And then when you're doing that, you can also test your lighting and see how the lighting looks on camera. Now this was a mistake I made. I opened up our Freeway Flippers account as a buyer account within the buyer referral link. So when we bought our first item, then I got a $15 credit and I was like, awesome, that's great. Well, come to find out, I probably should have used the seller referral code. If we would have done our first show and done so many sales or made sales, or I don't know exactly 100% how it works, then we would have gotten up to $150 in credit. So that was like a big mistake. So if you haven't signed up for Whatnot, I would highly encourage doing a seller referral code, which I'll leave ours in the description, and do that versus the buyer, because you can earn money if you do your first show within the time frame that they want you to do. Now you can see behind me all these golf clubs. We are more of niche sellers on Whatnot. We have our following. We don't have a big following because I don't personally feel like you need a big following on Whatnot, but we're in the golf category. We sell a lot of golf clubs, golf polo shirts, golf shorts, things like that, and it's very, very niche. I think I would have kind of rather tried out different categories. Not that we haven't had success doing shows, but I feel like it just kind of, people expect us to just do golf shows. And that's something that we can change by testing out other categories. But I think in the beginning, that might have been what we should have done to kind of see what categories were working for us, especially like the time of day that we can do the shows and when we do the shows. And there's two of us, and the, you know, how people like our personality, and would, you know, we have success with doing like a hat show or a shoe show or jewelry or something like that. Like I wish in the beginning we would have tried out different categories just to see which ones were better. There are two ways that you can run your show. Some people like to take photos, and maybe they have the photos from like listing the items on eBay or whatever. But you can take those photos and list each individual item. Each of these golf clubs would have their own listing that I would run. Some people do it that way. What we do is, if I know, and especially because we have a like item show, so we're either doing only golf clubs or we're either doing only golf polos. If we're doing a golf club show, I'm gonna probably put in one listing and put the quantity at like 100. So that way there are 100 listings of the same item. So when it pops up, it'll say golf club number 1. That'll be the first golf club that we run. So we run it, let's say that somebody buys that golf club for $8. Let's just say, hypothetically. I hope it doesn't sell for $8, but if it does, it does. So if the golf club, the first one we run, golf club number 1, sells for $8, then it will say golf club number 1. The 10th golf club that we run that sells, it would be golf club number 10. The 11th golf club number 11. You get the idea. So what we do is we take, this is just like masking tape, painter's tape. So you can see that right there. So what we do is we tear off a piece and then we write the number. So if it was golf club number 11, we'd write 11. And then I got really good at putting the person's buyer name who won the club. Then I would stick it on, I would put it on the golf club that sold, and that way at the end of the show, we could kind of organize them. Okay, well, this person bought number 11, number 9, number 54, and put them together. That way it's a little bit more organized. Now, here's the mistake I made. We ran a Disney car show. And unfortunately, we did it on our friend Ryan's Whatnot account because we were doing storage units together, and we bought a unit and we had a bunch of Disney cars and NASCAR and Hot Wheels and all that stuff, and we were running it on his account because it was more seasoned and he had that type of follower that was looking for die cast. So we decided one night, it was just Casey and I, we ran a show on his account and I was only writing the number of the car that sold. So if it was car number 3, I'd write a 3 and I'd put it on there. Now that was my mistake. I should have still put the buyer name because that way at the end I wouldn't be confused. And lo and behold, you know what happened? A buyer got a wrong number car. They got the wrong car, which was my mistake. Somehow the sticker got put on a different car, but I thought in my mind, if I do the numbers and they're really small items, just put them on the table in numerical order, that I would be okay. From now on, I am not gonna do that anymore. I'm still gonna be writing the number of the item that sold along with the username. I think that's gonna help us not make mistakes when we're going to ship the items. Now the last 2 mistakes we've made, the first one would be not being consistent. I think with any platform, the more consistent, the more shows you do, the more you're gonna grow, the better off you're gonna be. Kind of did a couple shows in the beginning, then we didn't do any, now we are. But I think if you're consistent, you're gonna get into a groove because it doesn't take long. If you haven't done a show for a couple months and you go to do a show, I'm like, I forgot how to run an item. I forgot how to change the price. Like you get out of your groove. So I would definitely try to be more consistent. And then also one thing we didn't realize and the mistake we made, we didn't realize, obviously we have enough golf clubs. We've got thousands. And I'll show you a little idea of how many in our backyard. And this isn't even all of them. At one time we had 6,000 golf clubs. Now we're down to about 2,000, but we have a lot. We don't have to worry about staying in inventory. We have enough inventory of golf clubs that we are definitely good to go. We don't have to worry about that. But the golf polos, we ran out within 2 shows and we were done. And so I think that's one mistake or one thing I didn't realize was when you're doing these whatnot shows, you sell a lot in one show and that takes away from your inventory. So if we only have 120 golf polos in here to do a show and we sell 60 of them, well then we only have 60 left. We do another show, now we only have maybe 5 left. So you definitely have to stay on top of going out and getting inventory for whatnot shows. And then one of the reasons why we haven't been doing a lot of shows, we've only done on our personal account, we've only done 10 whatnot shows, but we have been doing some on Ryan's account. So that's kind of why we haven't, but also we're having to wait in between shows to make sure we're going out and getting enough inventory. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why we're not doing more shows. We could definitely do more golf club shows, but they are kind of hit or miss. We have a lot of older golf clubs, and I feel like a lot of the buyers on whatnot are looking for newer ones. Ours are the 2000s, 2010s. A lot of people are looking for those newer ones and getting a deal with them. So we haven't found a lot of success with the golf clubs, but we have with the golf polos. So I'm gonna try to be consistent and do shows maybe every other week or at least once a month, have a really big whatnot show with the polos. But also in the meantime, I have to go out and be getting more inventory. So that's kind of what I've been working on. We do have a golf polo show coming up. I'll leave the link down below so you guys can bookmark it. If you're watching, come to the show. Say hi, let us know, hey, watched your YouTube video. How are you guys doing? Because we love interacting with people that watch the videos. I have a couple other videos on whatnot. One is how to run your first show and kind of how the behind the scenes of how we run our whatnot shows, just to give you an idea. It's a really good one. I feel like it's got a lot of good information for you guys. But yeah, hopefully you guys learned from some of the mistakes that we've already made by selling on whatnot. And until the next one, I'll catch you on the flip.